Hello everybody, my name is Ben the Human, and welcome to Against the Storm. This is a city builder. It's kind of a cozy city builder. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this game. So, it is a post-apocalyptic game. You serve a queen, kind of a benevolent queen. She's a little mysterious, but your job is to go out into the wasteland and establish these colonies in between cycles of a storm. And it's all about gathering resources, managing your population, managing your people's happiness, and getting like these quests ticked off so you can excel and get that colony established. And then you do that so many times in a cycle, and then the storm comes and it wipes everything out, and then you do it all over again. So I played a lot of this game on my own, and it was suggested to play this on YouTube, and I realized there was a DLC that I missed called Keepers of the Stone that added frog people, and soon there's going to be bat people, and I was like, why not get into the game, start a new fresh save file. I played like 150 hours.
The world is plagued by the blight storm.
On my own.
A vile cycle of destruction, ravaging everything in its path. The only safe haven is the Smouldering City, where the mysterious scorched queen reigns. You are one of her viceroys, a pioneer sent into the wilds, tasked with establishing new settlements and acquiring valuable resources for the crown. Your goal is to help rebuild the Smouldering City and secure the future of the queen's subjects.
So that's our job. So we work for the Smouldering Queen. We're like her one of her right-hand people. But we don't want to get the queen's ire, which is what's down here. We'll kind of learn as we go here. So, the queen's envoy is talking to us. Neglecting your village will increase the queen's impatience and bring her wrath upon you. So we don't want this bar to fill. If the bar fills, we lose. Fulfilling your duties will increase the town's reputation, which unlocks new buildings and eventually brings you victory. So that's this blue. As this fills, each of these dots will give us a blueprint, which is a new building, which will allow us to either gather new resources or do things more efficiently or build new things. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in this game. You get to start with a blueprint. We get the woodcutter's camp, since this is the first episode. I guess it's the first episode, but it's also the first level. We can pause the game at will. I like to build, when I'm starting out, I like to build a woodcutter's camp. This is our fire. It's called a hearth. This has to be lit at all times. This is another way you can lose, is if you let that go out and you don't restart it, your villagers can all die. So let's get our... So there's roads. I always like to build roads in this game. They make your people slightly faster. It takes a little bit to build them. The basic road, just like dirt path, is free. So you don't actually have to use any resources to build it. But I like to build like this. I like to make a grid system, essentially, is how I like to do things. At least at the very beginning. Now, we would like to build a woodcutter's camp. So what the woodcutter's camp does is it allows us to... cut through the forest into these different glens here. So I would like to cut through this chunk of forest over here first. And so we're going to build that guy, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to paint the forest where we would like our people to build. Additionally, I would like to build some... Oh, you're not going to let me. Well, let's start with that. Winning and losing. To successfully establish a town and win a run, you must fill the blue bar, and then if you lose, the red bar fills. Pretty simple. Now, right now we have our furnace, our hearth set to burn all of the resources. There's different things you can burn in the hearth to keep it going. Coal is the most efficient. Sea marrow is like one you can dig up, but you can also use it for other things, so I don't tend to like using sea marrow. Oil is another kind of like processed resource that's a little better than wood, but honestly, between coal and wood, those are the two that I use the most often. We've got orders now. So these are things that can pop in from time to time. The queen will ask you to do stuff, and then you'll get rewards based on what you do. So she wants us to build 2 woodcutters work camps and then produce 10 wood, which is pretty basic. And if we do that, we'll get 10 beavers, and I don't remember what the other thing was. So your people are always going to deliver resources to this point on your building. So it's important to pay attention to that when you're placing your buildings. You don't want to place it so it's like pointed into the forest so they can't access it. And then there's also like these little bonuses. So there's 2 different things that can happen, and I'll kind of get into them in a bit here. But you can kind of see one of these right now. So there's like an orange radiating glow around our lizard man here. That means the lizard man prefers this job. It's a comfortable job for them, and that's usually related to heat for lizard people, but everybody has their comfortable job or type of job. And what that does for them is it gives them +5 resolve, which is their resilience against like being unhappy in the storm. You want your resolve to be really, really high, because if it's low, people can leave or die, and that's no good. The other thing that is positive is an efficiency bonus. So the specialization bonus here is called woodworking. Beaver people are proficient in woodworking. So any place like the lumber camp here, or the woodcutters camp here, will yield it has a 10% chance of doubling their yield. You always want to activate this as much as you can, because, you know, double resources is just good. All right, and we don't have any more beaver people, so we'll just use our humans. They don't have any positives, they don't have any negatives, at least for woodcutting. So we just leave them alone. Humans are actually pretty good at farming, but we'll have to wait till we get access to that. Let's check our orders. We're almost there. We'll have, that's what it is. We'll woodcut easier or quicker. So this is what I was talking about with painting. We would like to highlight these sections of trees, because we can guide our workers to open different... Yeah. I know marking too many trees can slow down your workers. We don't really care about if you want to cut like a path, you really want to highlight like this amount of trees, maybe even less, like that amount of trees, so you could move from glade to glade. But right now we're just trying to gather resources, so I don't care too much about highlighting a bunch of trees right now. We just want to gather resources as we go. So we've achieved 2 woodcutters camps, and we've achieved all of the wood gathering. We would like to deliver this to gain a reputation, get 3 more beavers, and get the reinforced axes. So now this bar fills, and we've gained another blueprint. We also have a new task, which means explore, is asking us to cut through the forest to discover 2 glades. We would like a population of beavers of at least 5. We should have 6 now, I think. Yeah, we'll just have to unpause, and then we'll get 3 more humans, and we'll get some meat out of it, which will be kind of nice. We've achieved the shelter, which is where our people live. You always want to have enough shelter for all of your population. So each house can hold 3 people, and we have 12 people now. So by building 4 houses, we will have a full population, or a full place to house the population. We should be able to cut through in here soon. So honestly, we'll just be able to knock out this last mission just on its own. Oh, assign beavers as woodcutters. Actually, that's really good to know. So you can just right-click to unassign people. Because we got new beavers, just put them to work in the woodcutters camp, because that's the job they love. We're going to expand our roads a little bit as the trees come down. Almost to this glade as well. I guess because they want us to actually open the glades, we'll focus our woodcutting a little more here. So this is very much a tutorial level, but it really gives you the basics for what you're trying to do. The game gets vastly more complicated, trust me. Especially when you start breaching into glades that have, like, negative effects, and you'll want to clear them as fast as you can. We haven't achieved any of these other buildings yet, so, like, the Stonecutter's Camp is for mining clay or stone. The Harvester or Forager's Camp is for gathering vegetables or roots. Over here we have the Flax Field, which we can gather with the Harvester's Camp. Flax is more of a resource to make other things out of. We have access to Glen, which has more flax and more clay, which we can't use yet, but soon. This one has eggs, which we could use a trapper's camp to access, and then more roots, which we could do with the forager's camp. All right, we've achieved this one, so let's deliver that, get 3 more people. I assume we have access to the forager's camp now, so let's go ahead and build that guy. We're gonna plop that guy down right here. We're gonna build a little road right there. And we'll put our humans on this camp. We should build a new house because we got 3 more people. I'm gonna go ahead and build 2 houses because I assume we're gonna get more people relatively shortly. So you're working there. I'm gonna go ahead and build another forager's camp next to the roots. That way we can just keep our people busy. You can always unassign and reassign people, but generally you don't want people to be not working. If you have jobs especially, they should always be assigned. The one thing is, people who aren't working build your buildings, so it's usually good to have like 2 to 3 people, depending on how big your village is, free to build things. But you can always kick people out of a job to go build a building and then put them right back into the job when you're done. So there's just kind of a balance there between having free people to build stuff if you're expanding, and then always keeping people busy so they're not just standing around doing nothing. But right here, the humans have a 10% chance to double their yield because they're working at a farming job. Humans are good at farming. They're also good at brewing. So if you get into beer later, the humans are good at that. Now, there are different positives to having different races covering your hearth. So right now, if we were to put a lizard keeper, or because the lizard keeper is the guy in charge of the hearth, everybody gets a +1 to their global resolve, which is this green number under their name. If we were to switch it out with a human, we would grow the queen's impatience 25% less, so it would slow down. That can be pretty helpful if you're in kind of a trouble spot and the queen is getting real impatient real fast. The other thing is the beavers are really good at being more efficient burning fuel. So if you're low on fuel, you might want to switch to a beaver for a little bit. New objective achieved. We're going to get the Stonecutter's Camp rolling here. Pick that guy up. Stonecutter. We honestly can use just one building here to access both nodes. So we'll go ahead and plop that guy down. And then I'm going to go ahead and build a road out here. Like I said, I'm obsessed with roads. The other thing that we could work on is making our Hearth go up a level, which gives us various benefits. So by adding these buildings here, I don't know if we have decorations yet. We sure do. So there's different types of decorations in the game. There's green, there's blue, and there's yellow. And you can get more than what's just here right now. But each of those correspond with this type of decoration down here. So this one wants us to have 3 green decorations. So if we just throw down a couple of decorations out here, we'll just like put 2 benches down, and then we'll throw down some of the, that is way too big. We'll throw down some of these barrels here. So let our people build those up. Oh, you guys need to be working. Masonry. Are you guys good at masonry? No. I'm guessing that's the frogs, but we don't have access to frogs. So just put people to work, humans to work out here. Get some stone. And now we've upgraded our hearth. So we've upgraded to level 1. But we need to unlock more in the Smouldering City. But what that, every time you upgrade your hearth, it gives you certain benefits. So this one adds global resolve and adds resistance to corruption, which will come into play later in the game. So we'll talk about corruption when that matters. When we get to level 2, you get global speed, production speed increase and a resolve boost, and then you have a 10% chance of doubling your yield when you get all the way to District 3. But those are a little bit of a higher strat thing. My order is ready. That was quick. Ooh, we get a choice now. So we get 2... We could get 2 lizards or a person and a beaver. Vegetables, leather, stone, or grain. Honestly, we don't really have any way to utilize grain. You can't just eat it. You have to process it into something, whether that's porridge or beer or whatever. So I think I'd rather take this one, and we don't really need the extra people either. So we'll just go ahead and select those new people. Harvester's Camp. This will allow us to gather the flax, so let's go ahead and build that one. Yeah, so an important feature of this game is logistics. Everything has to be moved by hand. So most of the time your stuff is stored in warehouses. You can build external warehouses that kind of like work as satellite warehouses for your main warehouse, but every place everything needs to go needs to be moved by hand. So, for example, if we were to gather clay or from over here, and we gather it here and then we move it over here, you can get a building that will allow you to make bricks out of that clay, which you then can use in other buildings and stuff. But if we were gonna build a brick oven out here because we think it's close to the clay, that would actually not be super helpful, because rather than it coming directly out of the ground into our brick maker, it will actually go over here to this warehouse and then to the brick maker. So most of the time when you're talking about where you want to build your resources and whatnot, you actually want to build your resource buildings around where you're storing your buildings, or at least plan for where you're storing stuff. Go ahead and tell our people to continue digging out the forest. Another order is ready. What did we get? We got a crude workstation, which is like the most basic building you can use to craft stuff. Some more advanced materials. It's very inefficient, but it does work. So we'll go ahead and unlock that guy. The next one, it would like us to produce 4 planks, 4 bricks, and 4 fabric. So we'll get a workstation upgrade, and then we'll get some parts, which are more of an advanced material. I don't think you can make parts at all. Parts are a special component that only comes from the capital, I believe. I think there might be a way to make parts. You can definitely find parts in the forest. Let's put some people to work here. And then we can always set limits, but those are locked for right now. So we'll go ahead and just tell our people to punch out 4 planks, Once they've actually made 4 planks, I'll just turn each of these off so they focus on the next one in line. We have a lot of food, so I'm going to go ahead and steal a human from here. Actually, never mind. I'm going to put this human back. We're just going to put a beaver to work in here. And put this human back. Because I'm actually not building anything. We're in the storm. So the storm always makes your people a little unhappy. So you see how our resolve is dropping now? That's something to plan for. There are cycles within each colony that you plan. So there's something called the drizzle, which is like real calm right after the storm. There's whatever comes after the drizzle. I forget exactly what it's called. Clear, I think it might be. And then the storm is where everything happens. So you want to kind of adjust for the storm. The Hearth counteracts some of the resolve problems. The more villagers you have, the more dangerous things are, and it makes it harder to keep resolve high. There's all sorts of reasons your resolve will go up or down. But you want to keep it up generally. And most of the ways you keep resolve high is by providing housing, providing food, and then providing advanced things like better food, better clothing, and better buildings that just offer resolve bonuses. All of your villagers, we'll get into this in later episodes, but all of your villagers have like a preferred food. If they eat that food, that makes them happy. Things like that. All right, we have 2 out of 4 bricks, 2 out of 4 fabric. You guys are working. Good job. We can speed up the time. We'll go ahead and run it at 2x here just to speed up things. I feel like I generally run at 1.5, just like standard when I'm running stuff. We get a cornerstone, which is kind of fun. The Royal Academy wants a detailed map of the region and will give you 20 reed and 20 clay for each discovered glade, or production is quicker in the crude workstation. I like that, because we're waiting on the crude workstation to do its job. We could build a second one, but we don't really have anybody to run it right now. We have 2 out of 4 planks. All right, we have all the bricks we need. We'll turn that one off. I told you, don't make bricks. Yes, planks and fabric. Thank you. Eventually, you can set limits for these things, which is really important because it'll guide what your people are working on. So if you're like, I really need like tons and tons of planks, you can either turn all of these off or you can set low limits for fabric and bricks so that people will mostly build planks for you. Things like that. All right, we've done it. Checking in with the queen. Now she wants us to cut into a dangerous glade, change scrolls to fabric in the ancient shrine, and then deliver an ancient tablet. Change the resources from scrolls to fabric. Okay, well they want us to get into the dangerous glade over here. So what we'll do is we're gonna move our woodcutter's shop. And that's the nice thing about the woodcutter's camp here, is it's a mobile building. Most of these smaller, like, foraging buildings, like the stonecutter's camp, the harvester's camp, so on, all of those buildings can be moved for free. So you should never destroy and rebuild them. You know, you could, but it doesn't make sense. A lot of buildings can't be moved for free, but all of these can for now. They might not be able to be later. Some buildings can be moved for a cost. I feel like it's always better to move your buildings around unless you're sure you don't need it. So let's go ahead and cut through the glade here. That little tree there. And then get a new camp. Get a huge... How many people do we have? We have mostly beavers. And this is another great way to get resolve, is by building specific housing for your people. So shelter works for everybody. It doesn't give anybody any pluses, but it prevents them from having any minuses for being homeless. Now, if you build specific houses for your beavers or your lizards or your humans, that gives them a bonus to overall resolve. The more people are in their specific housing, the better. So eventually you do want to replace all of your shelter, or all of your shelters, for more specific housing. I'm actually going to go ahead and tell these people working in the workshop to just build more planks for us, because we have access to the beaver house, and we need more planks to be able to build beaver houses. Go ahead and get this path going. No builders are available. That's because everybody's working. This guy will be done soon. And you guys have actually completely emptied this entire patch of vegetables. So we're honestly going to... Actually, we could go over here. I take it back. We're going to go ahead and move you over here. We don't really need... Excuse me. We don't really need the food. But food doesn't go bad. So it's always good to just gather the resources you have available. I am going to steal a human from this gatherer here, just real quick, so they can come build this road for me. Newcomers waiting. We get some clay. Give me more people and more beavers, and then I'll put this human to work over here again. We've done it. So what the dangerous glade does is there's always an event in there that has some sort of negative effect. The problem with this one is it's instantly gonna kill my people. Even if we were to immediately build, even if we were to immediately resolve this has 41 seconds until it ticks down. Normally you want to stop this from happening, but I think this was a scripted event. There is going to be no way for me to prevent this guy from killing 3 of my random villagers. There's no way around it, really. But we're gonna get these people working on this real quick. You guys, I'm gonna steal one of you guys from here too, and just get you working. So what I did here is there's always something that you need to sacrifice or utilize to eliminate a threat or you know, finish an event. Down here, we could either use 4 planks or we could use 20 wood. Generally, using the more processed resource means it's more efficient from a pure material standpoint. So if we go look at planks over here, just to explain this fully to everybody who's brand new, you utilize 8 wood to produce 3 planks, which roughly means a plank is worth about 2 wood. A little more, but technically this means we're about utilizing 8 wood, whereas if I go down here, this is using 20 wood, which we could use to make a lot more planks. The thing is, we have way more wood than we do planks, and it saves me labor of making even more planks. The other thing is we could use scrolls or we could use fabric. We don't even have access to scrolls, so that's not even an option for us. So we're gonna go ahead and switch that to fabric, and then we're just gonna say investigate. Our people will come over here and bring the necessary resources, and then they'll do the event. But that's not gonna happen before this guy kills 3 people, because there's no way around it. And in order to speed this up, we're gonna go ahead and build a road out here. Yeah, so glade, that's exactly what I just explained, is glade events sometimes have negative things, sometimes they have persistent negative things that are just active until you get rid of them, stuff like that. So you guys aren't working right now. I could move this to get some more flax, but I'd rather have you guys free to help this out. We're about to lose some people. Alright, 3 people just died. There they go. Ooh, rough. They just died. Alright, but they didn't replace the 3 people we have over here. So hopefully these people will be able to grab all of the resources needed. And then get this event underway so we don't lose any more people. And they're done. So this guy is no longer going to kill our people, and we got a reward, which was an ancient tablet. They're very valuable. You can also use them to eventually, like, usually complete events can be done with forbidden tablets. They're also generally asked for by the queen a lot in these kind of orders that we're knocking out. The different things. One ancient tablet. We're done. Huzzah! And now we've completed the blue bar, and the level is done. So you gain experience points that you can then use in the overworld. We also gain these kind of different currencies. Food stockpiles is one of them, and you can use that to purchase upgrades for your people, for various things in the Smouldering City, which we'll jump over to right now. But yeah, I love this game. It's got I have a very specific flow chart for how things go. I guess we won't actually jump over to the Smouldering City. Ah, they're gonna teach us about resolve. So villagers with low resolve will start leaving, increasing the queen's patience. So not only do you lose people, the queen gets mad at you. So we don't want that to happen either. And then keeping it high will grant you reputation points. So if you get this pushed all the way into the blue zone, you gain passive resolve, which is just a great way to win, because your blue bar will slowly fill. So these are the things that I was talking about before. So basic housing is a good way to keep everybody happy. If you give them human housing, then they get happier. If we give them porridge, biscuits, or pie, they get very happy because those are their favorite foods. Providing them with coats is a good way to give them resolve because they don't like to be wet. So giving them coats helps out with that. And then leisure and religion are like the more complex things you can provide in more advanced buildings. Each species has a different mix of needs. It's hard to please everyone all the time. So and that's true, is you need to generally balance out people's desires in this game. Farmers can plant only a small field, and those can only be built on fertile soil, which is indicated by these funny little bushes. And then crops are planted in the drizzle and harvested during the clearance, and then nobody does anything during the storm. In the farm, I should say. Build a farm, harvest grain, and serve some ale in the tavern. We will do that starting next episode. So, if you guys enjoyed the episode, please click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you enjoyed Against the Storm, if you want to see more Against the Storm, or you want to see other things that I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. That also helps me out a lot. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!